Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's explore Agentic CLI. So what is Agentic CLI? Why Agentic CLI? How to use it? And finally, we will also deep dive into it through a couple of demonstrations. Especially if you are a terminal guy, that is, if you spend a lot of time on day-to-day basis working through your terminal, it can be coding through the terminal, building or deploying through the terminal, or if you are a DevOps and cloud engineer, you will find this video extremely insightful because Agentic CLI adds a great value for people who work through their terminal. So if you are one, make sure you watch this video till the end. Now, before I jump into Agentic CLI, let's clear the air between these buzzwords. Like, what is the difference between these buzzwords? AI assistants, AI agents, agentic AI, and now Agentic CLI. To understand it better, let me take a very simple example. So let's say you work for an organization and you are given with a requirement to add authentication logic to an application. Now, to add the authentication logic, let's say you are given an option to use AI, that is artificial intelligence. You have 4 ways to do it. So you can use AI assistant, you can use AI agents, you can go with agentic AI framework, or you can use Agentic CLI. How? So the first option, if you go with AI assistants, if you go with tools like ChatGPT, what you can do in this case, so you can go to the chat interface, you can give it a prompt, what exactly is your requirement, and it instructs you back with a snippet of code. Right? Or it gives you bunch of code that you have to place in the application. So you have to add this logic to the application. You have to make sure it is working fine. It is well integrated. If not, you come back to ChatGPT, you provide another prompt to make it fit within your application. So there is a lot of work that you have to do, but end of the day, ChatGPT talks to large language model to give you a response back. Then we move to AI agents. For example, GitHub Copilot agent mode. Okay. Now, in this case, you can have your agents installed in your IDE where you have your code base. So in this case, again, you provide a prompt or you provide an instruction, but because it has some context of your application, that is, it knows the code files, it can go through the code files. So it depends on the agent, but it has some context of your application. So it can directly add the code to your application. To some extent, it can make sure the code is also working fine. Then we move to agentic AI. For example, Crew AI. Now, agentic AI is an extension or it's an advancement to the AI agents where you can instruct Crew AI again through a prompt. This time, instead of using a single agent, what Crew AI does or what Agentic AI does, it breaks your instruction into multiple parts, multiple small chunks. For example, Crew AI says, hey, documentation agent, once the feature is ready, you document through an MD file what exactly is this authentication logic doing. It creates a dev agent, let's say, which is responsible for writing the code of the application. It creates a test agent, which takes the responsibility of adding unit test and functional test cases. Let's say it creates a security agent, which makes sure the code pass static code analysis, there is no static code in the code, or there is no vulnerable packages used in the code. So this way, Agentic AI makes sure the task is achieved, but in a much better way. And because there are series of agents that are used or bunch of agents that are used, the output is much efficient than using a single AI agent. Now, finally, we are talking about Agentic CLI. So, Agentic CLI is like AI agents, or it's like Agentic AI, but you use this through your terminal. When it comes to AI agents, you integrate that with your IDE. But when it comes to Agentic CLI, you basically have it in your terminal. So you have it installed as a binary, just like you install any Python package or you just install any library on your Linux machine. In the same way, you install the Agentic CLI, you provide it with a prompt, and through the terminal, it makes sure it can be through series of agents or it can be through a single agent. It depends on the Agentic CLI that you're using, but it makes sure the task is done. But Abhishek, we can just go with AI agents. What is the purpose of Agentic CLI? Imagine you are working on writing a shell script, right? Or you are just working on writing few shell commands. You might not be using IDE for it, especially if you are writing some shell commands or if you're writing an inline Python script, that is a one-line Python script, or maybe you are working on some Terraform files, or as a developer, if you're trying to build the application, if you're trying to revoke some commits, the Git commits that you have done, or you are cherry picking the commits, there are a lot of cases where you rely on your terminal. You don't use IDE for these cases. And in these cases, Agentic CLI comes into picture. Of course, the scope of Agentic CLI is not just limited to it. There are a lot of people who prefer coding through the terminal, right? People might use NeoVim or people use Vim, and they prefer writing an entire application through the terminal as well. Now, Agentic CLI can also help them because it has the same capabilities of an AI agent or Agentic AI. The capabilities are the same, but the only difference is that here you work through your terminal. Now, the best example or the best Agentic CLI, the one that I'm personally using, is Auggie. So Auggie is a CLI that is launched by Augment Code. In the past, I have done a video on Augment Code as well, why I moved from Cursor to Augment Code. However, you have other options. You can go with GitHub Copilot CLI as well. Of course, the capabilities are limited, but you can go with it. You also have option to go with Cursor Code, or I made a video on Codex. So you can search for Codex on the channel. You will find OpenAI Codex. You can also use Codex CLI. I think I've shown that in the video as well. So these are the options that you can go with. But personally, I have been using Augment Code because of its deep context. When you're working with huge size applications where you have code with 20,000 lines or code with 10,000 lines, this works better. However, one more time, you can go with any options, but in the demonstration today, I will show you or I will explain you Agentic CLI through Auggie. Perfect. So let's move to the terminal and try to see how we can use it. So for the purpose of demo, I have a complex enough application. So this is Super Mario application, not the original one. So this is a mimic application that something that I have built for one of my demonstrations. Now imagine you have no clue about this application. So you join the organization. This is the source code, and you are expected to build a Docker file for this, right? Or you are expected to first understand the code base. So first I'll delete the Docker file just to make sure it can generate one. Okay. Now cool. As a first step, let's try to understand the code base. Now technically, if you have so many TypeScript files, you will take a lot of time to navigate through the code base to understand how it works. But let's say you have Auggie installed. I'll share you the installation steps in the description. You can go through them. It's very simple. Just one npm command and you have Auggie running on your machine. But let's focus on the code demonstration part. So all that you have to do is, just say Auggie followed by explain me the source code. Or yeah, let's try this. Let's see what it says. So now instantly it started going through the source code, just like how you must have done or how you must have used AI agents through your IDE. But here it explains through the terminal itself. Okay, so it says these are the core files. This is the files where you have the player entity. It is also examining the other files. As I told you, there are a bunch of TypeScript files. It's a complex enough application. So it is going through all of them. It is reading each and every file, and within next few minutes, it will explain the gist of the application to us. Okay, so it says, here you go. Let me just scroll it up for you. So see how it explains and how it covers the main parts of the application as well. So it says, this is a fully functional Super Mario browser game built with TypeScript, HTML5, and modern web technologies. It also says, this is the project architecture. This is the game app class. If you come from the development background, you can understand it better. And it also says the technical highlights. What are the highlights of this application? So the performance optimization is done, code quality is better, right? So it also says the game mechanics, how a player can use this game, everything related to the application. Now let me ask it, right? So let's go a step ahead. We just got the gist of the application. Let's go a step ahead and ask it, can you create a Docker file, or let's make it even more complex, a multi-stage Docker file for this application. Now let's see what happens. Okay, I'll create a multi-stage Docker file for this application. It is one more time trying to understand the context better. So it says, okay, let me see if there is already a Docker file. There is no Docker file. Of course, I've deleted the one that existed. So it started creating the Docker file now. See, it created the Docker file and it says Docker file is saved. I can just do this. Like I'll just come out of Auggie and I will see cat Dockerfile. Cool. So it created, it used Nginx Alpine. It created multi-stage build because this is a stage 2. If I scroll up, this is the stage 1. In the stage 1, it created a working directory. It copied the package.json. Then it copied the source code. Okay. It downloaded the dependencies before the source code. In stage 1, it built the application for us. That means here a binary must have been created into the dist folder. Then it created a production stage. Here again it used the O. So in the first stage it used node image, but in the second stage it directly used the Nginx image because we will be running the application through a HTTP server. So it used Nginx Alpine image. Great. It copied the binary that was built here. So you can see from builder, it copied the dist and it placed it into Nginx HTML. It exposed the 8080 port, the port on which the application is running. And finally, it has the entry point as well. Awesome. Great. Now I will try to run this application and see. Okay. So on the other terminal, I just, okay. So I just triggered the Docker command. So I'll take a browser, run localhost followed by port 8080. Awesome. So Now the application is containerized as well, and application is running. So this is how you can use Agentic CLI in one way. What are the other ways of using it? When you want to work on a complete new application. Now we were using an existing application. It understood the context. It created a Dockerfile for us. But instead, if you want to work on a complete new application, okay, so I'll cd and Auggie create a simple, let's say, Python app for to do. Okay, so I'm just asking it to build a simple to do Python application. Let's see if it can build a one completely new. Like I said, you have a lot of agents which can do it from the IDE, but this one here is coming from the terminal. And if you are the one who is interested working from the terminal, Agentic CLI is of great use. Not only this, if you're working on Git commands, the best example, you are working on Git commands and you wanted to understand what were the previous 5 commits and you don't remember the command, or you want to cherry pick one commit into a other branch and you don't remember the cherry pick command. So you can't go to ChatGPT all the time. You can't ask the commands to it because it takes some time. Instead, you can use Auggie, or you can use GitHub Copilot CLI or Codex CLI, Codex Agent CLI, and you can just ask the command in the terminal itself. You have the command, you just paste it. There you go. Your task is done. Cool. So it says a Python to-do application is created. It added all of these files. It also added these stars. Then we have the command to execute it. The tests are also created. So if you want, you can also execute the tests. You can also add more features. So this is how you can use Agentic CLI. Now getting to the final question, is it free? So the thing is here, whether it is AI agents or you're dealing with Agentic AI or even Agentic CLI, end of the day, they all rely on large language models, and large language models charge you on the basis of tokens. Of course, there are some open source Agentic CLIs, and you can combine them with running a large language model on your local machine. But trust me, the efficiency is not as expected. Now, what's the point if you go with a solution that is not efficient? So if you are looking for such thing, I would say better not go with Agentic CLI because you will not see a good efficiency. Instead, stick to your IDE. And if you're looking for a free solution, go with GitHub Copilot. But if you want to try an enterprise option with a free trial, you can go with these options. Either you can go with Auggie, the Augment Code CLI. I'll put the link in the description. Or you can go with Codex CLI. Again, I'll put the link in the description. So this is what I have for today's video. Let me know if you found it exciting, and let me know if you are going to give it a try. See you all in the next one. Take care. Bye bye, everyone.